Okay, what we got here is a couple of relics of the Great War. Those of you familiar with the Mosin Nagant know that these are the model of 1891. They were the principal infantry rifle of the Imperial Russian troops of the First World War. Now, these two particular ones have a bit more history than that, of course. What we have here, if I can get a good look at the markings. Let me bring it under the light a bit more. Maybe you can see it. Doesn't want to focus. Oh, there we go. That's a 1915 Sestroryetsk. Please don't ask me to pronounce that better than that. Lucky you're getting that much. The markings are... well, they're not scrubbed on this one. It's a matching numbers rifle. It's a typical Balkan rebuild. Imported about 22, 23 years ago. And of course, a 1916 Tula, Peter the Great, unscrubbed markings. This one probably came out of Romania. And you can see, it's in a very early stock. We have the nice wooden stock plug there. Stock lug, I should say. You can see they've modified their own version of a sling swivel on there. Both of them. We have a Type 1 and a Type 2 band on there, the same rifle. The old import mark there on the end of the barrel. It's actually got a fair bore. I won't call it great, but it does shoot, manages to keep the groups on the paper. This one is slightly better. This rifle has Bulgarian heritage, which is easy to see if you know what to look for. And right there you can see, it's what looks like a dimple there. That is a Bulgarian pinecone marking. And there is another one way back here on the buttstock. You see that? That's a Bulgarian property mark. And there's even actually a third one on this rifle, right there. They're sometimes hard to spot, especially with the Balkan rifles, tend to have lots of dings and dents and scrapes. But at least you know where it came from. And this one also has an Austrian W on there. See it on the end of the buttstock? There's two of them on this one. Indicating this was captured by the Austrians during the First World War from the Russians. Now the Russians didn't lack for bravery in World War I, but they did lack for decent leadership. And they took a drubbing from the Germans and the Austrians. A lot of these rifles were captured. Some of them ended up in Finland, some of them ended up in the Balkans, like this one. You can see where they've scraped off the Tsar's eagle there. And they didn't want that on one of their rifles. There's the bayonet for it. For any M91, really. Another World War I relic. This particular rifle does not have any pinecone markings that I could find, and I did look for them. But it does have what looks right there in the end like an Austrian W. It's hard to tell because the stock's a little rough, but that does look like a W, indicating that long before the Romanians ended up with it, this as well was a capture rifle. Some poor bastard got himself killed and the rifle taken away, or maybe he surrendered. Hard to know now, of course. They don't put that information on the rifles. Surprisingly though, the markings are not scrubbed on these, except for the pinged out eagle. A lot of times you do find things scrubbed on them. I have quite a few. I have an Izhevsk somewhere also, 1915, and a Remington. When these things are very cheap, I probably picked up 20 of them. And these are two good representative ones of Great War relics on the Eastern Front. Especially, I love those Peter the Great markings on there. Look at that. It's really surprising they left the Tsar's eagle on this one, and they did not scrub the receiver on this one either. Sometimes they did, and sometimes they didn't. You never really know until you get the rifle if they have. See, it's been numbered there on the bolts. Most of the parts are original on these, but you can see there's an Nagants cocking piece on there, stuff like that. The parts did get swapped around doing refurbs and whatnot. You can see another one there, Nagants, bow and arrow. So when they needed parts, they took them where they could find them. Nice little pin there. Come on, focus. Doesn't want to focus, but there's a pin right there holding that rear band in. And another one holding the front band. What is irritating when this camera don't want to focus? There we go. You can see it right there, retaining that front band in so it doesn't get slopping around. And this rifle does not have such. I fired them both. You know, I'm going to say they group around maybe 6 MOA at 100 yards, which means for anybody else with decent eyes that would be around 3 or 4 or 5. So I can't shoot for shit anymore. Every year the glasses get thicker and my aim gets worse. Sucks getting old, but there are worse alternatives. And there you go. 2 relics of the Great War.